Good morning, everybody. If you have not yet gotten some coffee and a snack, please feel free to go ahead and do so. We have some things over there. There's also a good opportunity for me to remind you that if you are regularly, actually, even if you're not regularly here for our 10:15 discipleship time on Sunday mornings, if you would like to be our host for Sunday mornings for some of the months of the week, we have a rotation of faithful servants who get the delicious coffee that many of you are enjoying ready on a weekly basis and other snacks. So I think there's a sign up for that in the back too. But we'll go ahead and get started here. So thank you for being here. This is a good turnout, and hopefully some folks can join us online as well. This morning we're going to have what we're calling a Q&A forum on congregational staffing, on the various needs that we have before us, and some ideas we have on where we can go with those. So this will be a Q&A. This is an opportunity for you guys to ask questions, share ideas and thoughts and things like that too. So this is most definitely not me talking at you for 40 minutes. So nobody wants that, least of all myself. So anyway, before we get into all of that, I'd like to open with prayer. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this community here at Emmanuel. We thank you for the opportunities that you continually set before us to serve here in this place within our walls and also in the larger community. We pray that you would guide our conversations this morning. Let your Spirit be at work. Lead us in the way that you would have us go so that we might be equipped for service by the working of your grace in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so what I'd like to do is we're going to kind of go topic by topic as we roll through generally where we're at, what we can do. So we're going to hear on a few different things, various needs that we have on the staffing side of things. If we don't get all your questions answered as we go through kind of the main parts, please be sure to make note of them, and we can have those in just a short while. So what I'd like to do first is to speak to the first topic of where we're at with our DCE search for our Director of Youth Discipleship. So many of you know Josh Wold, who had served faithfully here for 10 years, retired from ministry earlier this year, so later in the summer. And in the interim, while he has been out, we've been kind of proceeding in a fancy triage mode, is I think a good way of talking about it, is we're working to make sure we're doing what we most need to do with our confirmation classes. So Pastor Richard at Corinna Sixna, who are members of our congregation, who are also trained DCEs, who happen to be on staff here, have been doing a fantastic job in keeping things going along with confirmation. So we've got that, but there's more that we want to do. There's more that we would need to do. And so for that, we want to have a full-time director of Christian education. That's what DCE stands for. To come in and be able to serve in this role. So we've got a call committee that is together. And call committee, just in case anybody is unaware what that is, this is somebody, we're seeking somebody who is a trained and rostered worker of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. And so we issue a divine call to them to come and serve here. So it's not just like a contract hire employee, something like that. So people with particular credentials and certifications. So we do have a call committee that's together. Pastor Richard, if I could have you come on up. Pastor Richard is leading our call committee with the team that's there. So if you could give us an update on where things are at in that process.
So we're moving forward. We have a great team. Let me first just say thanks to Corinna for helping out with confirmation stuff. She has been a tremendous blessing with that. So thank you very, very much for that. We have a great team of people serving on the call committee too, a wonderful, wonderful group. We have begun going through names, and it's a tedious process because we get names from the Northern Illinois District. We get names through this database. It's CMIF, Commissioned Ministers Information Form, I think is what that's called. And so we have a great database of names, but then the painstaking task of going through those names and figuring out who is open to even considering a call this time. And I get all excited because I see a name and I read their paperwork and I'm like, oh, wow, this could be a good one. And I email them and they email me back and say, no, we're just not at a time in our life right now where we're ready to consider a move. And so I have probably, I'm not exaggerating, probably seen 40 names go by my computer screen. The vast majority of them have either said, we're not interested in a call right now, or maybe their specialty is more like a focus in children's ministry. That's not the position we're looking for right now. We're looking for someone to deal with those wonderful middle schoolers and high schoolers and confirmation. So we're continuing to push through the process. We actually have our first Zoom interview tomorrow night. So we're very, very excited about that. And I got to talk to that candidate on the phone on Friday for a little bit, and she's a wonderful gal. So we're looking forward to that interview. But we will continue collecting names and continue having interviews, and hopefully in the not too long future be able to present a name to the congregation. So any questions on?
And if we have anybody real quick, anybody that's on that call committee, if you could stand up, please. I know not all of them are here, but we do have some. Alex Sixna is one, Pastor Richard. Then we got Melissa Hartzell is in the back. And we have, I think, five others. Is that right? It's like math. Anyway, so yes. So thank you. And we've tried to make sure that we've had people that are on the call committee that represent either people who have experience with Lutheran education, DCEs, people that are, all of them are committed to the congregation and the ministry we have here, but also maybe themselves have kids that are heading into this age range. And so they have a vested interest in finding the right person for this role. So questions? Who all is, so I mean, all right, we have to, I'm going to put Pastor Richard on the spot. What's that? Ben Rohde, Alex Sixna, Melissa Hartzell, Cheryl Gieske, Lisa Yates, Pastor Richard, and Aaron Edding, and Sarah Quartz. There we go. Yep. Okay, so any other questions on that? Okay, so Adam. Well, they're in the database. They're in the database. So everybody's in the database.
Everybody. Yeah, that's the best way to say it. Everybody's in the database. We have our separate database.
There's a separate pastors database too, a literal database. So the synod maintains this so that it is for everybody that's on roster. So the CMIF database, people are supposed to go in regularly and update theirs. And you can do a flag on how recently somebody has updated their information. If they haven't updated it in 10 years, we're filtering those out. So I think we said like within 2 years. Is that where we're at? We've tried different filters. Pastor Richard's gotten very good with the CMIF database. But yeah, so we can go in, so that way we can take a look and find out if people have particular experiences or things like that we want to particularly search for. So it's a good tool in that way, and that's part of the challenge. Like Pastor Richard and the call committee have faced is reaching out and then contacting people and then following up. Say, are you actually in a position where you could consider a call right now? Not even so much that they're seeking a call. We're not so much looking for people that are seeking a call, but that they're willing and able to consider a call if it's issued. If that makes sense. Okay. Cool. Anything else with the DCE? I'll just say this as a side point. Some folks have asked, and this is something that we are thinking about possibly about maybe after this process is done, maybe calling an additional DCE for children and family ministry, which is a role that Sarah Quartz does part-time now, and she is certainly willing to hand that off if we were able to get somebody full-time, and she has some other things we'd be wanting her to do. But that's still kind of out on the horizon because we do have a lot of kids that are coming in through the school, and we've been doing a lot. Pastor Richard's been leading that on a discipleship plan with our school. So good things are happening on that front. We want to be ready down the line there as well. So nothing really much more to say on that point at this juncture. Next thing, if we're all good with the DCE, I'm going to do I'm uncomfortably pausing and waiting for anybody to have a chance to ask a question. Uncomfortable enough. Okay, moving on. Other roles. We do have a number of positions in the church office that we have over the past year and a half or so have become vacant or restaffed. We've had a number of faithful servants who have retired after serving for a long time. Andrea Davis, many of you know, had long time been our youth assistant, helping out Josh with a lot of administrative things. She's now working full-time at Rockford Lutheran, and a job that she's enjoying very much up there. So we give thanks to God for that. Not that she didn't enjoy her job here. I have to set the context, but it was a good opportunity for her there. So she's doing that. We did not slot anybody in that. Josh had kind of taken up some of those things that Andrea had done while he was here as well. Josh then retired from ministry, and we're going ahead with the DCE call process. Sally Stegman had been our member coordinator for many years and did a lot of things with our databases. We have databases too, in helping to make contact with folks. Many of those things have been taken up by Ann Wetzel, who's our church secretary. Is not a sufficient term, like administrator, superhero, office superhero. I like that one. So Ann has done a lot of that stuff, and we've kind of shared some other things too across the staff. Claudia, who had been our bookkeeper for 17 years. Is that right? Is Claudia here? Yeah. Well, yeah, Jim's here. Okay. But yeah, it's like 17 years. She retired, again, God bless her. And Maria Hennig, no relation to Dan Hennig, is our new bookkeeper and has been doing a great job. She's been coming up to speed on a lot of things there. So that position has been staffed. Who am I missing? I'm missing something else. Sue, duh, yes. Sorry, Sue. Sue Piskey, who has long-term been a valued member of our staff, is our, I don't know if I ever knew what Sue's proper title was. What was Sue's title? It changed. So she had multiple titles, yes. So that is a big gap right now that we have, and we have a plan for moving forward with that. What we're looking to do is, well, I'll speak to this in a couple points. One is we're looking to create a new position that we're calling a director of engagement. And the director of engagement is both an internally facing and externally community facing role that does a number of things, not all the same stuff that Sue did, but specifically working on connecting people with opportunities to serve and connecting the congregation then with ways that we can be engaged in the community around us, and the community can connect with us. So it's a full-time role. We ideally would like to have somebody who's familiar with the congregation, but we might not be able to have that. So that position description is forthcoming. It's with some other staffing changes has been a little backburnered, but is a priority. So we have that coming out. That's not all the stuff that Sue did, and we'll talk a little bit more when we get to the pastor question in just a little bit here about some of those things. So that's where we're at there. So we have not restaffed all the people that we had that either retired or moved on to other things. So that's kind of where we're at from this front. So what we're thinking is if we do get a full-time director of engagement, this person will take on a few of those roles. So from a budgeting standpoint, we're actually kind of at even or a little bit lower than where we were before with all the various staff people that we had. So that's been a factor of our considerations as well. But that's enough of me talking right now. What questions do you guys have about church staffing stuff there, Naomi?
Okay, we have so many volunteers in organizations, but somewhere in there needs to be a person that gels the volunteers and groups all together. Would that be under what you just talked about?
Director of engagement, yes, that would be part of that too, because we do have, and that's going forward. I would love to see that we continue in our practice of getting people equipped for serving and engaged, because it's not just about church staff that doing all the things. That's not how things happen around here. We need to have people of the congregation who are engaged and using the gifts God gives for serving in all kinds of ways. So that would be part of the director of engagement. Yeah. I have to keep saying the title over and over in myself too. It's like director of engagement, director of engagement, director of engagement. Yeah. But yeah, very good question. Yep.
Director of engagement, does that also encompass what we would call evangelism?
So it is not. That's actually something we're going to be talking about with the pastoral role in just a little bit. So it is not. The question was, does that include an evangelism or outreach component in that sense? Not specifically, but it is connecting with the community in a few ways. That's also something that on the school side of things, many of you have met Randy Rogers, who's our new assistant principal. part of his role is doing some community connections on the school side. But yeah, we have some other thoughts on that too.
Have we thought about, have we ever thought about calling a deaconess? I mean, I went to school for that, I decided it wasn't what God wanted me to do. But I feel like it's a very valuable role. And have we even considered calling a deaconess?
We had not specifically considered that, but that could be something that we do is for the director of engagement. That could be in the deaconess's role with the care, compassion, and equipping side of things. That might work. Okay. This is somebody's taking notes at this meeting, right? No, we're recording it, so yes, this is good. No, I like that. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, thoughts? Yeah.
When you get done with all of this,
Naomi said, "When we get done with all this."
well, names
Oh yeah.
responsibilities so that the congregation knows who to call for what.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So we can have kind of at a glance. We could put that on our website too, to have that as a resource so people can see who's our staff, areas of responsibility, all that. Hmm. Oh, you know what? I forgot about thank you, Sue. Sue is not a plant, but this is good. So we did have a couple. So Michael Peterson had done a number of things too with our kind of on-site tech. He was not by his training or anything like that, an IT guy, but he was kind of our front, our throw him into the fire kind of guy if there were any IT things on the school or congregation side. So he did that. He also did our connector for communications there. So we've done a couple of, I'd like to think maybe a little bit more creative things on that front. For the communication side, we have partnered with a firm, Craig Mattis Services, that works with a number of congregations, not just in the state line area, but kind of in the larger LCMS. They have a lot of congregations they serve that do outsourced communications. And we started out with them doing some of our Facebook stuff, helping to put together the main thing that goes out, our email newsletter there, Instagram, and initially we were looking to have them do the connector as well. Where we've kind of over the past, I think 3 months or so that we've been doing this, we've kind of realized, well, it takes less time for us to do the connector in-house. We realized that pretty quick. So Ann covers that. Ann covers the connector. The firm, Craig Mattis Services, CMS, we have a designated person there that does the main thing, the email newsletter that goes out. They also check our website too, because there are some things on our website that were a little out of date. So they go through now on a weekly basis and check that and do updates on our website. Facebook stuff, we realized also more recently that because of the volume of stuff that we already are putting out on Facebook, we didn't need somebody outside to kind of be doing some of those things. So we've got that back internally. So we've kind of been going up and down with CMS in terms of exactly what they do. But that's the communications side. On the IT side of things, Frank Bisconti, who's our director of operations, many of you know, had a really, really neat idea when we were talking with our tech support firm. We work with Entree Computers in Rockford, and they've done some great stuff for us. When Michael left, that left a very, very big void. And if you talk to any of our teachers, so Corinna's nodding vigorously over here, if there's something that goes wrong during the school day, we need somebody to take a look at that. So what we were able to do, and Entree was willing to do this, and this is the first time I think that they've done it, we have somebody from Entree deployed on site now, so that they're here 5 days a week as an Entree worker. So they're not staff here, so we're not paying benefits or things like that. We're paying out of our kind of bank of support hours that we have. And his name's Kevin McLeod, has been great. So he's kind of a general help desk guy. So he's here, and whenever there's a need here on site, he's out working that on site. But if he's not being utilized here, he's then working to support other Entree clients remotely. So either on the phone or over the computer, things like that. So that way we're not paying for somebody full time that we're not using and burning up kind of our support hours. And Kevin's been great. And he's allowed us to get a lot of stuff done that we would not have been able to do before. So we're very, very thankful for that. So that's our communications and IT side of things as well that we've been dealing with on the staffing side. Any other questions? I want to make sure we have enough time to talk about the kind of the big ticket item here too. Actually, we're in terms of what we're looking for now going forward is with the DCE role. That's a specific role. When we got the call committee going for that, the director of engagement, that's a specific role which is going to cover a number of things too. Other things we've kind of reshuffled and consolidated from the people that have moved on. So it's kind of right now those are the two specific roles that we're needing to cover going forward. You got to have somebody else take a turn in between. Let me just shake hand. Okay, all right, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so with the call committee, we're going to keep going on that. That's one of those things where it's God's timing more so than ours. So we don't know, we don't have a timetable on that. We'd like it to be sooner rather than later. In the meantime, Pastor Richard and Corinna Sixna and I are working to keep going with the confirmation stuff. We're getting the position description together for the director of engagement, and that might be, depending on if we do end up going with a call route for a deaconess, that takes us in one path as opposed to just a general kind of search process, which is a little bit more open-ended. So that's kind of the direction on those. So yeah, that's kind of where things are at there, and we'll keep giving you guys updates too as we move things along. If it's a call, it is voted on. If it is a called position, that is something that requires a congregational vote. If it is somebody being hired, that doesn't require a congregational vote. Assuming we're kind of keeping within our budget guidelines and everything like that. Okay. All right. One more. Yeah, Ruth.
Where does Dave Rathburn fit in?
Dave, you know what? I completely forgot about Dave. Dave is like critical. Sorry, Dave. Dave is our new sexton. So this is Dave Lobbs. He started up this role as sexton. Dave is our sexton here. He came and he presented at the Rotary meeting as to what a sexton does. So Dave, what does a sexton do? The answer is yes, the sexton does it.
Everything from cleaning up various messes during the day to coordinating whether it's vendors for fire alarm system, door system, that kind of thing. So there's right now the biggest thing that finished up on is a new PA system, both safety and information. So we're just from small to large things. And again, I want to stress without volunteers.
So Dave's answer, if you couldn't hear him, is basically he does all the things. So that he is a key member of our staff. So for serving the church side, the school side, basically the sexton is an old school church word. You can go look it up. That's somebody that kind of takes care of the campus and facilities, and also if you have a graveyard, digs the graves. So it's a very, very wide ranging. He does a great job. Yeah. You could call it all kinds of things because it's yeah. Yeah, so and that's fair. So relating to the first one, why do we call it a sexton? Because it is a church word for this specific function, and it's you could call something like facilities manager, I guess, but I think it goes to a little bit more than that, and that there is a church component of it. So that's the answer there, and also it's an opportunity to teach people what it means. So I'm all for learning opportunities. And then relating to the second question, yes, the director of engagement is a little bit nebulous. I think once we can share that position description with the congregation, it kind of will make things a bit clearer. Part of the reason we want to have it open-ended is because we don't have a list of here's all the specific things you're going to be doing. It's more general, but it gives freedom to the person in that role as they pursue it to the general ends that we're hoping for. Okay, now I need one last question on this, and I need to talk about the other ones.
No requirements for Josh's job.
For the DCE, it's somebody who's synodically trained, so generally that they have a college degree, not that they have a master's, I don't think. Is it? No, so it's not a master's required, and that they're just rostered. So I think college degree is from an educational background what we're looking for. Okay, now I need to keep moving. So many people have been asking about this, so I'm putting it in here for the church congregational staffing side of things. What about comfort dogs? Because some of you are nodding. Yes. So where are we at on that? So I was talking with Sue Piskey, who is still, I remember this title, she's still our top dog, with respect, that's actually the title, with our comfort dog ministry. And so back when we had lost Kai, so a little over a month or so ago, we kind of kicked things up into high gear to move forward, because we already had things in place to maybe see about potentially getting a third dog here. It's not likely. It'd be a really tough thing to do. But then when we lost Kai, it certainly kind of moved things further along. So we were getting things going there. And then more recently, as we lost Becca, it's kind of put it into super hyper overdrive, which is a technical term. So things are moving along there. We have had for many years a down payment out for bringing a new dog here to Emmanuel. We've been talking with LCC, and things are looking. We have been at the top of the list. We're very much at the top of the list now for a placement. So what we are needing right now, and Sue is following up with some folks on this, is a caregiver household. The primary caregiver household. We have other people that might carry over from some of our servant teams as handlers for a new dog, but we also are open to having new people coming on board for this too. So we will have more information to share with the congregation on Sunday, November the 6th, which is All Saints. That's going to be the first weekend of our legacy focus. So in 2 weeks' time, here during this time on Sunday morning, we are going to be having what we're calling tentatively, and I keep saying tentatively, and I keep saying the name, so it's probably what we're just going to call it because I keep saying it, but a celebration of serving. So there's going to be a celebration of serving for our comfort dog ministry. We want our handlers to be here, we want a congregation to be here. We're going to have punch and refreshments and things like that to remember the work that the comfort dog teams have been doing. And we'll be able to tell you what kind of our next steps are and kind of how quickly we're looking to have a dog and what we need in order to have that happen. So put that on the calendar. So Sunday, November the 6th, same time, same place. But we are very optimistic that we should be able to have a dog in the not too distant future. Okay. All right. Now I need to get to the last item here, and I want to make sure everybody has time for talking about this too. Many of you know Pastor Wagner, who can't be here right now because he's leading the service up at North. Actually, they should be finished by now, unless they're going real long. But Pastor Wagner has been serving up at our North Campus ministry for a number of years now. He was retired, and then, as Lutheran pastors are wont to do, became unretired to serve. But he would like to get back to being full-time retired, and that's something that we want to honor him too and respect that. So, in order for that to happen, we have a need with the ministry that we have, not just at North, but for the congregation at large, to call a full-time pastor for serving as missions / North Campus pastor. So we say it this way, that this would be somebody who is going to be helping to coordinate evangelism efforts here in many forms across the whole congregation as we connect with the community there. So that's a little bit of a component of some of the stuff that Sue Piskey had been doing. It's a little bit of new stuff, but then it's also a big part of it is being, for want of a better term, the boots on the ground, the local presence for our North Campus site. So leading worship services there, preaching there, connecting with communities there. There's a lot of stuff Pastor Wagner and some of the previous pastors who've been serving up there have been doing for the past, 11 years or so now. We don't want it just to be a preaching station for Sunday mornings. Now that we have this fantastic new location up there at Timberlane, we want this to be a place that is a connection point for our community around us. And we do have an office up there that could be there for this new pastor. So if we were to do that, that would again require a vote from the congregation if we get to the point of extending a call. But a first step is putting a call committee together. And I've already kind of put out some feelers for folks that might be willing to serve on that from North Campus, from the campus here too, but we're open to other people who want to do that if that's the way we want to go. So we have a need, I think a very clear need for this, but what questions do you guys have about this? Because this would be another full-time pastor. This is apart from what we're looking to do with the SMP program for Clayton Engel, because Clayton would be, as he's going through the program in about 4.5 years time or so, if we call him, he would be a visitation pastor. So then we'd have 4 full-time pastors, which I think is not unprecedented here at Emmanuel, but certainly would look to meet the needs that we have before us. But what questions do you guys have about this role, about a pastor for North and missions? And yeah.
Well, I'm more concerned with visiting the elderly, the nursing homes, the hospitals, so you guys aren't stretched so thin. So don't send us a kid.
No, well, so I can tell you this. So because we are looking to move forward with Clayton for visitation pastor. I wouldn't call him a kid. He also he already has experience with that too, even growing up as a son of a pastor and going out on visits. And he from his previous role as a financial services professional, he spent a lot of time with more senior adults as well. So I am pretty confident he's going to do well in that role too. We still come visit too. So if we're not outsourcing, but we know there's a lot that needs to be done and we can't get to everybody.
Just to, I guess, not to, because I'm a deaconess, obviously, as you can tell. That is another role that a deaconess can call when it comes to, obviously, they can't issue communion, they can't do that sort of thing, but they are trained in visiting those in the hospital, those in the shut-ins, all that stuff. So, I guess that's.
Yeah, if we do, and there's a lot, maybe we need to have a class on like what does a deaconess do? I think that could be a good opportunity for the congregation as well. But that could be a good thing too, is kind of sharing some of these things. How about any other questions? Yep. Pastor Gnavic is full-time employed outside the congregation. So his service at North, which is he does as a gift to the congregation. We don't compensate him for that. Benefits are fantastic though from the heavenly perspective. But anyway, Pastor Gnavic is still preaching at North. So he and Pastor Wagner and Pastor Richard and I, because I think you're going to be up there in 2 weeks. I'm actually going to be in Belize going down for the commissioning of the Mercy House on All Saints weekend, which is the weekend of the celebration of serving. So I'm going to miss that. But Pastor Richard's going to be at North. Pastor Pollock is going to be here helping out with that All Saints weekend. But yeah, so between the 4 of us right now, we rotate up at North. But this would then allow the opportunity for somebody to be the primary preacher, but we would still rotate in. We'd still rotate in like once a month, and then Pastor Gnavic, I think, is willing to continue doing so. Pastor Wagner also, he'd like to still every once in a while get that chance too. I think we've definitely had 3 full-time. Yeah, no, that's a good question. So from a finance perspective, are we at a point where we could be doing that? So I would say that yes, I think we will be. We will be sharing some more stuff with the congregation at the congregational meeting, which is November 20th. Put that on your calendar, 1 p.m., November 20th, on kind of where things are at from the finance perspective. And there are some concerns on that front right now that I think there are some things we can be doing. But I think that at that point, yes, because part of it too, we never are looking to have North as a self-sustaining congregation. We're never looking to spin off North. That's not part of the vision there. We can do more together than we can as a bunch of silos. But as we have more people coming in to North as well, Lord willing, will be more of an offering coming there too that helps to subsidize that. I said subsidize, not pay for. Be clear on that. And other questions?
If we hire another pastor, I'm a big fan. We have the finances later on to hire a full-time deacon.
Well, if we called, let's say, a deaconess to serve as director of equipping, that's something we already have the funding allocated for. So that could be a good opportunity. Mm-hmm. I'm making a note to myself to explain what a deaconess is to folks. So we should do a class because it's a very wide ranging role that has a lot of things that go for it. Any other questions?
For the director of engagement, would that include, like, knowing the members and their skill sets and like organizing volunteers for specific? I feel
Yeah.
like we miss an opportunity to use people's skills
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes asking for volunteers is kind of ambiguous of like
Yeah.
the job and
So Abby's question, in case you couldn't hear, is that with the director of equipping with that, or director of engagement? Sorry, director of engagement. Okay, equipping would be part of it, but the director of engagement is part of their role as somebody who's kind of aware of the different gifts and skills of people in the congregation. Yes, that would be part of it. Now, with the system that we have, Church Community Builder, which is a great tool, I encourage everybody to engage with that. It's got a lot of stuff built into there, which specifically helps for that. But you need to have the connections with the people more so than just having the information. So yes, the director of engagement would be part of that. And one thing, you'll hear me say this time and time again, I hate the word volunteer in the context of the church, because the people in the church aren't volunteers, you're servants who are being you're released for service. A volunteer is somebody who's, well, I can maybe drop in, drop out of that. No, we want to connect people with, here are your gifts, here are your strengths, here are your passions, and you can serve in that role. It's not kind of an in and out. But yeah, I want that role, the director of engagement, to be somebody who's helping people connect for serving in that way. Because we have a lot of people, like I said at the top of this, it's not the staff that does everything. The more we want to do, the more people we want, and God has put here for going out and serving together.
with visiting the elderly, isn't that part of the elders' job?
So we're working with the elders on kind of expanding what has been done in the past. So making some of those connections is part of it. So visitations, it's every Christian's role for going out and visiting people. And where did Kim go? Kim, I saw you before. She's hiding. There we go. So Kim is helping to coordinate, and this was a great idea that she had on what we call it, grand friends, right? Is grand friendships. So as an opportunity for people to go and just the people of the congregation to go and visit people who are some of our homebound members. Not that you're going to bring communion or anything like that, but you're just going to spend time with people who maybe don't get to have that much interaction with others for whatever reason. So Kim is getting a number of people together for that. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in doing, talk with Kim. So this is what we're talking about, though. This is a great idea that it can be, anybody can be doing it and can. And as Christians, we should be doing those kinds of things.
How about Stephen Ministry?
Stephen Ministry is a role that there's a lot of training and whatnot that goes into it. I think our Stephen Ministry program has been dormant for a while. So if there are people that would be willing to step into a lead role for that, and there's training and all that goes with it, I'd be very glad to hear about it. So if you know anybody, let me know. Back when he was a wooden pastor, is that the? I don't understand the question. Oh, we are doing that. That's the SMP. That's what we're doing with Clayton Engel, the SMP program. Yeah. Yes. So we are looking to raise up somebody from the congregation to help serve in that role too.
Yep. Interesting. I had mentioned some of the DCEs we're looking for. I'm now up to, I think, 4 guys who are going through the S&P in different congregations that used to be DCEs. So that's becoming a popular avenue. We're not alone in it. There's a lot of congregations making use of it now.
Meaning they can't come here as DCEs. Yeah. Oh well. The Lord will send them for service. We just have a few minutes left here. I want to make sure, and if people do have other questions, or if you're joining us online, please feel free to email. We'll answer what we can here too. So any other questions? So that's kind of what we're looking at. So if anybody has interest in serving on a call committee for a pastor for North and missions, I want to make sure we have good representation there. And I think from the North side, I'm pretty sure we've got that, people that are willing to do that. And I've spoken with some other folks that might be willing. So let me know that as well. We want to get that going sooner rather than later because, again, Pastor Wagner wants to be retired. So we're going to do that. Okay. So just real quick, wrapping up. So please, if you can, plan to be here next week as well for Reformation Sunday on the 30th. We are going to be having the first of our town hall meetings. We're going to be talking about the possibility of doing a campus expansion program, which is a pretty big deal. So we will talk about the needs for that and some concepts that we have are already. Nothing's been locked in. I want to make sure people understand that going into the conversation next week. And it's not a voting thing or anything like that. It's an opportunity to come hear what the need is and ask questions there too. So that's next weekend, October the 30th. The following weekend, which is All Saints, Sunday, November the 6th, we're going to have that celebration of serving, which apparently now is the official name for our LCC Comfort Dog ministry that we've had here. And you'll get to hear more about what's involved in the various roles that go into that and where we're looking to go with that in the future. So that's the next few weeks there too. Then we have some special programming coming the following weeks as well as part of our legacy focus for November. So, okay. With that, it's just about time for our late service to start. So thank you all very much for being here, for asking questions. And Pastor Richard and I, we won't be here shortly because we got the service to lead, but we are around in general if you have any other questions or want to talk to us on these things. Thank you. Go as God's people.